Do you want to know the 3 most critical skills that you need to have as a listing agent if you're really going to get into the high-end market? Listen, I have to tell you, a lot of people get these 3 things wrong all the time, and they're flying blind, and they don't know what to do, and they don't really know how to get those high-end listings. I'm Christopher Stafford. I have been selling as a listing agent in San Francisco for over 30 plus years as a listing agent. I also have the Listing Collective, which is a coaching program specifically for high-end luxury listing agents. And definitely check that out in the link below. But let me tell you about the 3 things I really think are super important if you're going to be meeting with sellers and you're going to be trying to close high-end deals. And actually, this really is pretty much for any deal that you want to try, whether you're working with buyers or sellers. But when you're trying to get a deal closed, when you're trying to get somebody to purchase a property, when you're trying to get somebody to sign the luxury listing agreement, it's really important that you know these 3 things, because if you don't, you're not going to get the listing. You're not going to get the sale, and the money's not coming to the bank right there. All right, boom. It's your job, and this is one of the things that I think is so interesting to me, because your job as a listing agent is to sell. You are a salesperson, number 1. So I really want to, disabuse this notion that you're going to be just best friends with everything and sales are going to come naturally and you're going to be, hunky-dory. And no, that's not the way it works. I can tell you, after 30 plus years as a listing agent in San Francisco, you have to know how to sell. You have to learn how to sell. And these are the 3 things that you absolutely have to master. Number 1, you have to empathize with your prospect. You have to build rapport, if you will. This is one of the things I'm always talking about, and that is, it is super important that you really listen to your sellers, that you really pay attention, that you're not always thinking in your head, okay, what's my next response going to be to what they're saying and all that kind of good stuff. I have a listing presentation that is very, very short. I usually can get a seller to sign a listing agreement in 30 minutes or less. And the reason is because I give them a lot of information up front before I even meet them. I give them a ton of information about the market, about my marketing strategy, about who I am and how wonderful I am, and blah, blah, blah. But what this allows me to do then is it allows me to really spend almost all of my time with a seller when I actually meet with them, really understanding what their pain points are, understanding and really empathizing with them, and really get into what are their insecurities, what are their goals, what are they trying to accomplish. I mean, this is so important that we really try to empathize with our sellers. And really, that's the best way to build rapport, is when you're empathizing, when you're really listening, when you're really listening to them and you're asking really deep questions about what they're worried about and all that good stuff. So this is a thing that I see that a lot of people in the world in general don't get, because a lot of people in the world, and especially listing agents, they like to talk about themselves. How wonderful I am. I'm number 1 this. I drive a Mercedes. I have a $5,000 car. I'm the best person to sell your house or your condo because I'm number 1 and I'm the most brilliant. People, generally speaking, they really think that you're out to get them and that all you care about is your own money situation, that all you care about is making a sale. And you need to totally move that needle to the other side and really reassure people that you're in their best interest, trying to find them the best deal, try to get them the highest price. And really, the easiest way to do this is just by asking questions and really caring. is really what it comes down to. I had once a 90, I think there was a couple in their 90s, believe it or not, and they were moving across country from San Francisco back to New York. And I'll never forget, there were 3 agents being interviewed. I was the last agent, always a good thing to do. And one of the things I talked to them about is that how I knew their situation. I knew what they were going through, their anxieties, their pain, what they're trying to accomplish, because I myself have done it. I have moved across country a number of times, and I know it's scary. I know all the pitfalls. I know how hard it really can be, especially if you're a 90-year-old couple. And the wife basically told me after I had put the place on the market that one of the reasons that I got the listing is because I was able to really connect with them on a deeper level, and they felt really comfortable about that. So remember, it's not what you're saying, it's not how you're dressed, it's not whether you got a glamour shot or you're driving a Mercedes. People are always going to remember the people in their life in terms of how they made them feel. That is the most important thing. You want to make those sellers feel incredible and that you're on their side. So that's number 1, empathize and build rapport. And number 2 is something that is really, I think, that's dovetails nicely with number 1. And that is, I think that a lot of listing agents don't really uncover or discover the pain points for sellers. And this is really, really important. I think that you really have to understand what, as part of building rapport, what are they most afraid of? What are they most anxious about? What is it that they can do to mitigate any of that anxiety or that anxiousness or, your pains or whatever? And again, one of the ways we have to be a detective. When we're talking to somebody that we want to sell on signing that listing agreement, we have to discover what are their pain points so we can help them address those points. It really goes back to building rapport. It goes back to really understanding them and how you can help them, and it really makes them feel a lot more comfortable because it's not just about you getting the sale. So really discovering the pain points of your seller is really going to help, and so you can address those pain points is going to help you to get them to sign on the dotted line as well. And I think that the third thing that I think is really most important, and you have to master all 3 of these, but the third thing is really, how do you handle objections? Okay. I have in my course, we have a whole objection handling scripts that I ask people to really study. There's 2 points I want to make. Number 1, I think it's really important that you're practicing those scripts on a daily basis because the scripts are always the same. Or I should say the objections are always the same. And that is, I have to think about it. I can't make a decision. I have to sleep on it. My husband's not here. My wife's not here to make the decision. I mean, there's a finite number of objections that 90% of the time that you're going to get. So I think it's really important from my perspective that you understand how to handle those objections, and practicing them all the time really makes them come out of your mouth naturally and just like that, as opposed to you have to stutter and figure out, okay, what am I going to say about that? Commissions, for instance. Will you cut your commission? One of my favorite scripts is no. Any other questions? And 60%, 70% of the time that works. And so you don't have to go any further. But really know your scripts about objection handling so that number 1, it's just knee-jerk. It comes out of your mouth and you don't really have to think about it. But number 2 is give yourself some grace. You want to be able to think on your feet. So memorizing those objection handling scripts is a great idea, but it also should allow you to build on those and think on your feet so that you can address any objections up front. So one of the things that I really want to drive home the point is address a lot of the objections when you're talking to them in your presentation. Instead of being reactive and answering their objections, be proactive and talk about your commission. Talk about why the need to sign a listing agreement tonight is important and things like that. So be more proactive in your objection handling. That is really what's most important. So build rapport, be really empathize with them, get them on your side, number one. Number two, you really want to uncover their pain points. That's super important to address. And number three, it's very important that you handle objections in the correct manner and practice them, think on your feet, and really address those objections in your presentation. If you want to learn more about how we handle objections and selling skills in general, definitely hit the link around this video and sign up for my free masterclass and book a call with me, and let's talk about how we can 2x, 5x, 10x your listings today.